Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. We are back with Ilene Smith on part 3 of our 4-part series on moving beyond trauma. So welcome back.
Thank you.
I've had, in our last segment, we were talking about during times of stress, how we're often unconscious about the amount of stress that both our body and minds are taking on emotionally during these times of uncertainty, and how meditation is really important. So I thought I'd share with you my own personal experience in that I have been meditating and just completely going into a sense of awareness. And what is coming up for me, oddly, is this weird cough, like a kind of defended kind of, like just it just comes, it just emanates from my body in this mysterious way.
Mhm.
And over the last couple of weeks, I actually had this one breathing class that I took that just opened everything up. And I was so calm right when COVID hit. And then slowly I've been like suffocating and like constricting my breath. So I was wondering if you can share, like, you know, this got I don't know what's happening. It literally is just a bizarre mystery, and as you said in the previous segment, my body is behaving in ways that I don't understand, and I'm observing. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to, like, I'm trying to figure it out, but trying not to figure it. I'm someplace in this muddy middle because it's so unusual. And so literally, I'm taking meditation classes, and if the volume had been on or I was live in these meditation classes, I would be doing these weird, like sounds in the background. So maybe you can share with me, like, how does one deal with these kinds of, I think the deeper you go into in embodying yourself and awakening from an embodied place, it seems like everyone hits different types of sore spots. This is how mine manifests, but I was wondering if you can share what generally happens during these times of becoming more and more embodied.
I love what you're telling me. I'm like, yes, I'm like, she's doing the work. Your body organically is knowing what to do. It's discharging. That cough is a way for your nervous system to start resetting.
Mm,
So that's what you're experiencing. So as your nervous system starts regulating through all the meditation, it's discharging some of that energy, which is really pretty
mm.
wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's embarrassing, but I'm online, so no one hears me.
Right.
Sitting in my house, so the only people who hear me are my kids who have now just gotten, it's like, oh, mom's meditating. This is what it
Right.
sounds like. Sounds
Awesome.
like she's like something bad is happening to her. I wonder about my neighbors who, when the windows are open, can hear it. But like, what can you do? I mean, there's nothing. I think actually when that happens, you can try to stop it happening, but I think that's also not.
No, you want to let it do its thing. I mean, again, like our bodies organically know what to do if we hold the space for them to do that.
Mm. And so it might, what I've been told and what is so hard is like, don't try to figure it out. Like it,
It's
so
hard.
yeah, so why am I coughing? Is it a medical issue? I know it's not a medical issue, but
Right.
why is this happening? I
Of
don't
course.
know.
So the work is, we're always trying to figure, well, think about it. And it's exactly what you're telling me. We're always trying to figure out the why rather than being with the what, because
Mhm.
the what is usually uncomfortable. And so the why becomes a way for us to distract us from the what, which is our present.
Mm,
Right? It's like, it's why people spend so much time future tripping and trying, what I call future tripping, projecting and trying to solve a problem, or going back and like, just mentally going over the same thing over and over of like a situation. It's like you're doing that only because you don't want to be with where you are at the moment.
all
And
right. So if I'm
smiling,
just,
you totally get this.
yeah. So it's being with where you are at the moment. So I'm here, I'm coughing. I'm not going to be like, why is this happening? Initially, here's what it looked like initially, and here's what it looks like now. It's like, oh my God, what is that? I wonder what it is. It must be that I'm guarding against something. Is it a guarding feeling or is it an angry feeling? I'm not even sure what it is. Um, Maybe it's
So
blocked
it's
energy.
about just noticing it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that's what it looked like before. Where is it in my body? Where? Oh, it's in my throat. Oh no, maybe is there something going on with my breathing or my throat, or it's in my stomach, or maybe there's something blocked in my heart. So I went through like all of like it's in chakra two, three, four, like all that stuff.
I love that.
That's what my
It's
meditation.
up between 2 and 3.
Yes, and then like worrying, like what's wrong with me? Oh my God, it's so embarrassing that I'm making these noises. I'm so weird. Why don't other people have this? Why am I feeling this? What's wrong? Like this is
All
from the
good.
beginning, what I went through in the very beginning. Now I go, ugh. I'm like, okay. just you cannot not notice it, but I just like, what do you get? I can't do anything, so I just like open up into awareness. I notice, I open up into awareness because something is trying to discharge, and doesn't matter whether I know it or not, it's discharging.
And your body's doing its thing.
Yeah, and my body's expanding, discharging. There was a point in which I was like, my arm would go like this in the middle of a conversation. It was just, I mean, to have these body expressions is actually one of the worst because it just looks strange. So someone would say something, my head would whip around. Like it's for me, it's all the body speaking. So I've literally had to deal with different manifestations of body release and and the question is, what is the body doing? Like, what is happening? So these are traumas that are stored within the body and have yet to be discharged. And they could be how
Yeah,
old? Like,
they can be really old, but what you're telling me is that your body, the spontaneous movement that you're talking about,
hmm
is that biological completion for something that needs to be resolved. What I don't, we sometimes you never know what it is, but my guess is what you notice at some point after all that discharge is that you feel more regulated.
I think I do. Yeah, I feel calmer.
Yeah, it's more that's just the body resetting and the nervous system doing its thing.
So what does it mean in biological completion? So what does that mean?
So if you think about animals in the wild, they don't
hmm
get traumatized.
mm
And the reason why they don't get traumatized is because when they have a potentially traumatic event, like where they're under threat, if you ever watch animals, they will shake off that trauma and reset their bodies and move forward. And humans
mm
need the same biological completion.
mm. Right, so that we don't do that. We just like store it in like in a little toxic tank full of negative emotions and just stuff it in there.
And we just and we don't we don't we and we and that's when the body gets really constricted.
I
And
see.
that's when we get inflammation in our body and stress responses, all different kinds. Yeah.
So really, that contraction, is it a muscular, like what's happening? There's kind of, an energetic contraction or like an
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah.
contraction, but
All
what,
of the above.
so how does the whole like, okay, um, I have uh I have some type of body expression, like I curl my shoulders a lot. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm kind of used to going like this. Okay, and then all of a sudden, how does that then like then it actually manifests? So how does a behavior emotional response then translate to a bodily felt expression and at the fascia cellular level? How does that move
Well, you're
along?
telling me how it does. Think about it. Like there's all that constriction. What happens when you feel that constriction?
Yeah, it's just I tighten up everything kind of my muscles contract as well as my energy and like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mind.
So the fascia, we hold a lot in our fascia. Like, you've heard the saying, the issues are in the tissues.
hmm
And so there's so much stored energy in the fascia. And so, part of the work that we need to do is to release that.
Mm. So when people have like connective tissue, like I've heard like you have connective tissue issues, what does that even mean?
Oh my God, it's such a longer conversation, but the long and the short of it is that that's where, I mean, there's neuro receptors in the body, and there's the way they're firing. It has something like some of what has is happening is what's happening from on a neurochemical level, and then what's happening on a physical and emotional level, and that's all connected.
Mm. So that if you basically have connective tissue not working, it could be because of these other things. It could be an emotional thing, a spiritual thing, a physical thing. It's just like the receptors are not
Right.
connecting.
It's not, each system's not separate. It's all interconnected.
Ah, so when you have a system that goes offline, it's like whatever, I'm out of here. It's not connected, and then you have like your system
There's
isn't
going to be
working
physical and
holistically.
emotional pieces that are gonna be impacted. They're
Ah,
all connected.
interesting.
It's all connected. There's no, honestly, I don't think there's any separation.
Okay, interesting. All right. So what I'd love to do is in the next segment talk about like, okay, yes, I believe in all of these things. Aside from yoga and like meditation and movement, like how, let's say I have like, years worth of these things stuck in my body and, you know, y- people aren't meditating and having like weird coughs come to their biological completion. So, is there anything I can do? Is there anything we can do? So let's in the next segment talk about like aside from meditating and things like that. Is there any, like, how would I go to someone like yourself and help me work through those issues?
Cool. All right.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being here. We've been talking to Ilene Smith about moving beyond trauma, the roadmap to healing from your past and living with ease and vitality.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.
Thank you so much.